We're joined today by Greg Hutchinson, Executive Chair of Emyria. Greg, thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Emyria has evolved really from a drug development company to a fully integrated healthcare business. Can you talk to us about the strategy and how that evolved?
Yeah, it's so true, Dave. We started out really in drug development, clinical trials, and have evolved into what I call an industrial healthcare stock. We're not a biotech, so our results aren't binary. We're already generating revenue, and we're doing so in a clinical setting. So we've set up our first clinic in Perth back in 2023 when the TGA changed regulations around being able to deliver psychedelic-assisted therapy using MDMA and psilocybin, as you know. And we've since rolled out clinics in Brisbane, Melbourne, and are about to set up here in Sydney.
Talk to us about the actual treatment that you're doing and the causes that you're looking to treat and the results, more importantly, the results that you've been achieving.
Okay, so at the moment, there are only 2 indications that we're allowed to treat. We think in the future, in actual fact, that there will be more conditions that we can address. But at the moment, PTSD and treatment-resistant depression, off the back of some clinical trial work that came out of the US, is what the TGA have allowed us to treat. We do so in a clinic setting. So patients come in for a full 8-hour dosing day. It's not microdosing. Full 8-hour day with 2 therapists in the room, supervised by an authorized prescriber, a psychiatrist who's gained that ability to provide this treatment through the TGA and under our auspices. We then see the patient 3 times in the ensuing fortnight. It's called a dosing cycle. And we repeat that 2 or 3 times depending on whether we're treating treatment-resistant depression or whether we're treating PTSD. The results have been outstanding. 76% of people have gained a clinically significant result. 67%, so 2/3 of those that we treat no longer meet the criteria for the diagnosis. We can't say that they're cured, but they're certainly in remission. And the results have been durable. A year on, we've got results where people are still showing those signs. They haven't regressed at all. In fact, some of them have improved further. And we think that that's because they're reintegrating back into society, mending relationships, going back to work.
And you have also secured funding treatment pathways through Medicare and the Department of Veterans Affairs in Australia. How important is that for patient accessibility, but also the revenue model?
Yeah. It's absolutely essential. The first 30 patients that came through the program had to pay for the full cost of treatment out of their own pocket. And when Medibank came on board last year, it was not only validation of what we're doing, to your point, it allows us to roll out at a much faster pace. And then DVA came out at the end of last year to say they were going to fund treatments. We've also had ad hoc workers' compensation payments as well, people on mental health related workers' compensation. So we're seeing multiple funding streams come along. It's been essential for us to be able to roll this out at scale.
Talking about rollout at scale, you touched on the clinic rollout, 3 states moving into the 4th. How quickly can they scale and what does a mature clinic look like financially?
Yeah. It takes us about 9 to 12 months to get to a point where we're starting to become profitable. And primarily that's because the first 3 months are really a startup phase, if you will, where you are screening patients who've perhaps been in the system and want to move into psychedelic-assisted therapies. Once they've been screened, it takes about 3 to 4 weeks to taper them off their medications before you can start to actually get them into treatment. So you can see there's a little bit of a lag from the time you open the doors to the time that you can actually start treating your first patients. Then it's a matter of utilizing the beds. We don't open 5 days a week from the outset. We'll open 1 day, fill that, open 2 days, fill those, and so forth. So about 9 to 12 months before a clinic reaches profitability.
Now let's look at milestones. What should investors be focused on from Emyria over the next 6 to 12 months from an operational and a financial metric?
Well, I guess the most obvious one is the opening of the Sydney clinic. But I think what people should be starting to look for is more funders coming on board, more particularly private health insurers. And I think what we will be able to do is announce more workers' compensation insurers over the course of the next 6 to 12 months. The other thing I think investors should be looking at is utilization. So how are the clinics going in terms of how are we filling the beds? Beyond that, we've got some really exciting stuff, I think, in terms of what we're doing with our global partnership program. And we announced that back in April, where we are looking to help drug sponsors overseas be able to conduct clinical trials, so get their drug to market, if you will. It's essentially another revenue stream for us. And because we've got an existing infrastructure already established, we can feed patients into their clinical trials. We get paid to do it. Fantastic business model.
Exciting times ahead for Emyria and its shareholders. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for yours.